It is far more fun to die on your sword than to die on someone else's. Dying on your sword is better than dying on someone else's. So many of you are doing things, making decisions, and navigating your lives based on somebody else's thesis. You're doing it because you think it's the right thing, because your dad's telling you it's the right thing. You're doing what you're doing right now because you're pandering to your boss even though you don't believe in it. This is how it's gonna play out. You are doing things right now. Yesterday, you made a decision that you don't believe in, but you're smart. You did it because you know how your company scores. Here's the problem with disruption and innovation. Right now, you're being rewarded for being a yes person, and in 36 months, you're gonna be fired for being a yes person. And you're doing it because you just need the security of your job. I'm telling you right the f now, if you're watching this vlog, that means you have a certain DNA. Please, I implore you, please die on your sword, not somebody else's. If you're gonna lose, it's much more fun to lose based on what you thought. Do you know how many of you are gonna lose on somebody else's thesis? It's gonna kill at you, it's gonna eat at you, it's going to be the worst feeling. So please, pause this video right now and ask yourself, am I doing my shit because of me? Then you're good, whether you're winning or losing. Or am I doing it because somebody else is telling me it's the right way? Or I'm subconsciously pandering to please somebody or something because I need the short-term stability. Figure that the f out. You know it and I know it. You just need to do something about it.
Want to be happy? Build a life, not just a business. Hey, it's Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You've got Michael Jordan level genius at something. So today, let's live your best belief life and get some incredible motivation from the one and only Gary Vaynerchuk.
Everybody wanted to be an astronaut one day. Like every kid that I'm looking at, these good looking kids, they all wanted to be astronauts and pilots in 1957.
What do they want to be now?
Entrepreneurs. Yeah. I mean, this is my moment. And by the way, it'll be fun, and in 9 years the world will melt. Everybody will not be an entrepreneur anymore. It won't be cool. They'll blame entrepreneurship for the melt, and I'll still be an entrepreneur, because that's what I've always been, that's what I am now, and that's what I'll be to the last breath. If you're a purebred entrepreneur, you love the dark clouds. You understand that the fake entrepreneurship era we live through loves the sunshine when it's good and happy and easy. But if it's in your DNA, if you actually are an entrepreneur, you know exactly why the upcoming era of dark clouds is going to be very important, because at the end of the day, this is a game based on merit. And if you don't know how to navigate those storms, you can't be an all-time entrepreneur. I love the dark clouds because they're part of the process. By the way, this whole notion of like you can do anything and all this stuff, let me just tell you, it's stupid hard. Reality is, most of you are just averagely talented. Right? Like, you're not gonna over-index on anything too crazy. Here's the good news. This is not about how much money you make or how talented you are. This is about being happy. Everybody here, regardless of how talented they are in making money or art or what have you, has that they're super into. You love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Your whole life could be about Michelangelo. It could. And here's what really with me. In this internet age, you could have a podcast around Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You could buy Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle memorabilia on Craigslist and Facebook and Etsy and then flip it on a different platform because you're so knowledgeable, because that's the pizza eating Leonardo. That I'm just fascinated about what happens when you go all in on your passion, you're committed to it, and you use the infrastructure of this. You living your life for 80 years as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle expert, and this is getting funnier to me by the second, making $83K a year in ads on your podcast, the flip, some miraculous reason somebody paid you $2,000 to go to a Bush League Comic-Con thing. That person making $62,000 a year being the TMT expert versus them making $77,000 a year being an admin in a company where they hate their life 9 to 5, that delta is something I will go to the grave on, because it is what I want to articulate to everybody, the unbelievable level of practicality to do shit around stuff you like. And here's the big part. How many people under 40? Let me just start with this group. If you just really took what I'm talking about, became an expert at Facebook and Instagram, really understood, the fact that you could take a leap for 2 years, move back in home, move in together, cut your expenses, I don't give a shit. The fact that you can do that for 2 or 3 years, and if it doesn't work out, you can go back to getting a job, that's nuts. That's nuts. Yeah.
broke, right?
Yeah.
It's like all the financial power over us.
Yep.
What can I do? My mom said,
You've got to break out of that pattern. You got to not listen to him and make money in however way you want. Listen, otherwise you're stuck. If you want to help your mom, sometimes the best way to help your mom is to get out and then come back and get her out.
but I'm like 14, I can't do
I get it. So honestly, and I respect that. Listen to me. Life is long. You're in a spot right now, but my mom didn't have her mom or dad at 14. Life is long. It sucks right now. When you're 14, it feels like it's your life forever. It's not your life forever, bro. You understand? Surround yourself with as much positivity to get you through this chapter.
I just can't do that. I have no friends.
I get it, bro. Bro, you gotta be patient. It's early.
I know it's forever. I can't take it.
I get it, but you have to understand there's no alternative. There's only two choices here. You stay under that roof and eat for 4 more years, 3 more years, 2 more years, or you bounce now. Plenty of people bounce at 14. It's not common in the UK, but people do it. Or you don't. Life's about a very simple option. You either do it or don't. If you're gonna eat under that roof, you need to put your earpods in and listen to positivity 24/7 to get you through that. Do you understand? When your surroundings are your inside's got to be positive. The fact that you're even here means you're halfway home. I wish you well, man. Hit me up anytime. DM me, all right? All right? You listening? Listen to me. Listen to me. When it's around you, you have to make it positive in your head. I know it feels like it's forever, and it's going to take forever. When you're 14, 4 more years sounds like forever, but you have no choice. You either bounce or you stay. And if you stay, which is more likely, which is fine, you got to put positivity in your ears. Do you understand? I promise you. You have no other alternatives. Otherwise, you just dwell and you go down a spiral that you don't want to go down. You understand? If you've got debt or have to put a roof over your head or somebody else, then you work. Whatever job is paying you that. But I'm asking you, what are you doing from 6 p.m. to midnight? And if you have to go build slowly your portfolio, your Shopify store, your Instagram account, your YouTube channel, your content, like, wouldn't you be pumped if I told you for the next 4 years it's tough and you don't watch as much Netflix and sports and hanging out, but then you get to live happy for the rest of your life? Everybody, in theory, would sign up for that. The reality is a lot of people don't want to grind for 4 years. Like, people don't like pain. It's why most people don't have 6-packs. I mean that. I mean that. There's a lot of people here who want to be in better shape. You just don't want to work out. You just don't want to eat well. I was at the top of the wine game and I left because I won and I didn't want to do it anymore. And went into marketing where everyone, like, the first article written about me was like, this guy had wine Twitter. I think the article in the big advertising magazine was Twitter boy is what they call me. Twitter boy thinks he's going to come and win Madison Avenue. Ha 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 ha. They're not laughing anymore, you know? And even this game now, I can already feel it. I'm like, oh man, 3, 4, 5 years from now, this thing's a wrap. I'm going to be the guy. So I'm going to have to start selling oranges or something. You know, I got to figure, I'm going to have to figure something out. Because I lose, like, I'm about to climb. Back to sports, I grew up a diehard Yankees, Jets, Rangers, Knicks fan. The Yankees and Rangers won their championships. I literally stopped watching them. Knicks and Jets are gonna take me a minute, you know, but I'm just about I just love the climb. Like, even like back to sports, because I think it's a great analogy. I'll turn on a random game. I need to know who the underdog is. That's my team. I'm just about to climb, you know? Like, to me, when I see a kid wearing a Steph Curry jersey, and that kid lives in New York, I think that kid's soft. I mean it. He's using somebody else's success to make himself feel good. I think the biggest tell of a losing person is wearing a jersey outside your own city. I think when I get the praise, it's what the f does that have to do with me? When I get on, I'm like, that's on me, and I'll fix it. And I think those, you know, I said it really quick, but it's accountability. It's accountability and ownership when you suck, and it's passing on the credit when you rule. And that's it. And that's me. And that's my makeup. And that's why I'm winning in life. And that's why I'm always going to win. Because when you are 100% accountable and you know your you're garbage, when you're 100% accountable, when there's an issue, and when you pass on the praise when you're getting it, you become fundamentally undefeated, unbeatable. I'm straight up unbeatable because my head will never get gassed up enough, ever, when I'm getting it good, and I'll never believe it's me, and when it's bad, I'll never point the finger to anybody else. All you finger pointers pointing everywhere. Everybody's pointing fingers, pointing them everywhere. It's everybody's fault but yourself, your country, your environment, your parents, school system, your boss, your aunt, your circumstance. And of course, there's tragedies and crimes and child abuse and real bad stuff. I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying for the 95% of you, it's a mindset thing. Perspective. Perspective is everything. I'm grounded in my perspective. Never too high, never too low. It's about them when it's good. It's about me when it's bad. That's me. That's what I got for you. That's where I'm at. That's my mindset. And I never waver. It's 100%. Never waver. I have my bad days. But I keep that to myself.
Today's rough.
What?
Today's rough.
Babin here is all bent out of shape. He just said today is rough. To be very frank with you, Vayner Nation, I don't give a if Tyler or you think today was rough, because I had 17 meetings that he couldn't be a part of, because I'm actually running a business here. I'm not from some teenage beanie bopper trying to do a vlog, or some influencer doing a blog, or some family that's hoping for some free detergent because of their blog. I'm working here, Tyler. So sorry that your video blog is rough. But let me tell you what's not rough. What's not rough is we're living through the great era of ground shift in marketing and business. Everybody in this amazing town of New York City, which is, let me just tell you, everybody who's not here, vibrant at 10 p.m. right now, because 98% of your cities are sleeping. Everybody here is their collective pants because the ground is shifting. Everything that our grandparents and parents grew up with, everything that we knew, tried and true, the stable pillars of media, commerce, influence, persuasion, the way we make decisions, the things we buy and how, what is cool and what is not, is on call. The world is on call. And you know what that means? Hustlers, the opportunity is obnoxious. So whether you're focusing on vlogs or influencers or how to hack Instagram stories or how to create Alexa voice skills or how to create your own podcast, because you see I'm full, committed, till if you are not following my podcast, pissed. The way I call today, the sum up of all my meetings today, none of which you just watched, is that the earth is moving. There's instability in the foundation of how it was, which makes an innovator like me really happy. And what suffocates all you B players, because you like it nice, slow, and stable. Let me be very clear with this ending rant. That game is over. And the people that are gonna win over the next 5 to 7 years are gonna be very comfortable in controlled chaos. So you better get your speed up, you better work harder, you better work smarter, you better try things, you better keep your subjectiveness and your ego at the door, because that slows you down and it doesn't make you do. You better move. People are always like, I can't get my cashiers to like work because they're only 12 bucks an hour. I'm like, no, it's because you've never said hello to them, face. Right? So like, I'm very people-centric. I think there's enormous ROI, either in the short term or the long term. Some of the people that work for me, Iris may go on to win an Academy Award as a filmmaker, right? Like, I'd much rather have her like me than not like me. You know, and everybody's playing short term. I don't live as if tomorrow I'm gonna die, and I'm stunned by how many people do. It's all short term ROI. Every decision is short term ROI, and I think that's a huge decision. So internally, I spend a lot of time and money. My HR department, too big. My time that I spend with employees, too much. This is what I hear from all my business associates, who then spend all their time asking me how I do it. Your employees, for me, it's my employees first, then the customer, then I can even begin to think about what the fuck's in it for me. And I've just watched 95% of the businesses I interact with start with them, then the customer, then their employees. I think that most of the people are broken, and I think if you're honest, no bullshit, right? If it just went through your mind like, I am me, then customer, then my employees, you will lose. And I can tell you that's the majority of businesses. I am stunned by how many people here don't realize that the quickest path to happiness or more economics in business, given the context of this talk, happens to be in the thing that they love the most, yet they're not willing to eat for the next 3 to 5 years to get there. Let me explain. It blows me away that if you're ridiculously passionate about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, now stick with me, I know this is going weird, that starting your Instagram account, your podcast, and your YouTube channel about Leonardo and Michelangelo and putting out that content for a 3-year period in the long tail of the internet, in the way that niche marketing works, if you focus on that 7 p.m. to 2 in the morning around that world, that literally within 3 to 4 years, the practicality, if you're consistent, to making between $50,000 and $100,000 a year in affiliate eBay links and sponsorship around being the foremost expert of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a very fascinating thing. You know how many people here and across this country right now rushed to buy cryptocurrency? Because that's where the gold rush was? I'm just fascinated by people's passion for the quick fix versus the marathon. I'm fascinated by people willing to put in their body to lose 15 pounds, that's some private label horse from China, versus eating right and exercising. Let me promise you something good, and that's how I want to say it. Everything special is hard. I think the biggest vulnerability you've got is you actually value somebody's opinion more than you value your own. Like the reason I've been able to always do my thing is when I was 24 and people were like, oh, you work at your dad's liquor store? Like, I heard that as like a chip on my shoulder, you know? I loved it. I was like, cool, keep sleeping on me, you know? Like, I'm glad you're on Wall Street making 100,000 buying BMWs and dumb jewelry. I'll see you in 30 years. You understand? Like, to me, the way you win is you realize you can't hear nobody, not your parents. I mean, listen, you gotta listen to coach and all that. I get it, but at the end of the day, my guy, yourself, you gotta get real quiet up here. I can't hear anything. You go look at my Instagram right now, my first post, I'll post something, first 100 replies in 1 second, you're Jesus, you walk on water, you're the best, you're the all-time, can't hear him. The next 100, you're a piece of shit, you're full of shit, you're a snake oil salesman, can't hear him. I'm in my own mind, doing my own thing. And that comes with self-esteem. Everybody's trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm not worried about you being in the Hamptons on a blow-up Swan. I'm not worried about you renting out cash from the bank and putting it to your ear. I'm not worried you jumped a fence and took a photo in front of a private plane. What do you think these people are doing? They're posing. Patience, long game. You know what's amazing about being an entrepreneur? We get to play forever. I'm gonna be working when I'm 96, trying to find my next hustle. First thing that you need to think about is you need to thinking about yourself as ESPN and HBO and CNBC and the New York Times. The quicker all of you think of yourself as that, everything changes. I literally think that Gary Vee, don't compete with Richard Branson or with Mark Cuban. I think that Gary Vee competes with Business Insider and Forbes and the Wall Street Journal and Complex Magazine. Like I don't think about competing with humans. I spend zero time even debating that. And so I think of myself, Carlos, as a media company. And so it's the difference between, you know what I think a lot of people do in our world? They turn into infomercials versus 2020. If you make content on Facebook and LinkedIn and your email and everything you do, if you think of yourself as ABC News, if you think about yourself as Fox or CNN, instead of an infomercial, changes. Everybody's thinking like an advertiser, not as a media company. And I think for a lot of you, it seems like, I'm watching your kind of behavior. That's why I feel a little bit different. I'm not putting out content like an advertiser with a short-term goal. I'm putting out content like a media company with a long-term goal, which creates short-term opportunity. It's a very, very subtle but disproportionate reason. And the luckier you are, if you're this legendary as people are whispering to me, well then that means you're sitting with something, which means you should be recording all of it. All of it.
Editor in chief to be hired.
That's right, and the way to think about it is, some of you don't have the dollars to hire somebody yet, and neither did I for the first 8 years. The whole D-Rock thing and all this, I love when everyone's like, easy for you, Gary, you have D-Rock now, and I'm like, I didn't have anybody for 8 years, and I built up to it, and then I had somebody. So like, if you gotta do it in selfie form, good. And if, like for me, I can't write. I have a ghostwriter for my books. I have a ghostwriter for my LinkedIn and Medium right now. I can't write, it's not how I communicate. But I can do video. Some of you are scared of video and get awkward, you're more introverted, so then write. Use the medium that helps you best communicate, and then build around it. Most people here will be successful if they could be more patient for longer, yet most people will fail in here if they're delusional and keep doing the same thing for a long time, waiting for the thing to happen. It's one and the same. The most difficult question for me to answer is, when should you stop doing what you're doing? Because I actually have to spend time with you and really look under the hood to know, are you completely in outer space and have a terrible idea and you stink and of course we should change it? Or the other thing that so many people struggle with, you're so impatient and you're so caught up in short-term metrics like how many followers you have, or how many sales you made, or how many leads did you generate, that you quit too soon because nothing happens overnight. It's one and the same. Dudes that were trying to kill it didn't use words like empathy and gratitude 7 years ago. Like seeing like sleeved up like rad dudes roll up to me like, yo, kindness, dog. I'm like, it's just so, and honestly, I genuinely believe my great legacy potentially may be that I made emotionally intelligent, soft skills alpha. You'll never believe this is super interesting to me. The fact that pink was a boy's color and blue was a girl's color back in the day is kind of how I think about gratitude, empathy, kindness. I'm like, I'm gonna trick these young dogs into like thinking this is cool. And then one day in 50 years, people are gonna be like, the alpha male traits are like gratitude and kindness. And if I could pull that off, then it's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with chasing money. I just think that it's usually the quickest way not to get it. I really believe that. I really do. I think when I watch people that are driven by money, I see a lot of unhappiness and failure. It's very common. If we did the happy meter here, it's the people that are, I promise you, it's the people that are doing what they want to be doing. Like to me, I couldn't explain to you enough, and I have utmost empathy for the cynicism around this statement. It's unbelievable how much I don't like money. I like the game. I love my game. I love the game of building. I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go garage sailing because there's nothing like pulling up, literally to this day, I can't replicate the high of going to a garage sale, walking into a yard of junk and finding something for $1 that I know I can sell on eBay for 17 bucks is a bigger happiness high than closing a $6 million account for Vayner. And it's not even close. That's what I want for everybody because that's how they get to 20. Opportunity meets preparation. That's something a lot of people talk about. I'll tell you what I believe in. I believe that there's so much opportunity at all times that it's actually preparation. Everybody prepared finds their opportunity.
Yeah.
So sure, I believe in it, but here's what I actually believe in. Opportunity is abundant. Mm-hmm. We live in a world that has unlimited opportunity, especially if you're willing to look for it. Mm-hmm. Looking for it is predicated on the fact that you put in the work. You put in the work because you knew that you were gonna go look for it. Mm-hmm. So I believe in preparation. because I just believe that opportunity is almost like oxygen. It's everywhere, always, and some opportunities are bigger than others, but preparation, man, people convince themselves before they start that the world is unjust or they can't or things are f***ed up. They complain, they dwell, they say no before they say yes. And of course, look, if you say no, it's already over. Like literally if you wake up and say, it's not gonna happen for me, it's already over. You might as well not try.
My friends, this is a remarkably special time, and I'm completely convinced the far majority, and I mean 99% of this room, is going to regret it. I'm completely convinced about it. It's not fun for me to say that, but it's very obvious to me that humans take shit for granted and are really bad at perspective and timing. The reason I push patience, how many people here are under 30? Raise your hands. Stand up if you're under 30. Don't be a dick, stand up. Let's first of all clap it up for all the youngsters in the room. Keep standing. You're young, you're not tired yet. If you're standing right now, you really have to, let's get into perspective and actual understanding. If you're standing right now, with the way that modern medicine is actually evolving, there is a very high percentage that you're gonna live 3 more lives that you've already lived, if not 5. Do you understand why I struggle when people give up on a year or 2 in, or are upset that they haven't gotten there yet 3 years in, when you faces are about to live 4 more lives? I'm being serious. You're literally gonna live 4 more lives, 5 more, from the day you were born that you cannot remember to right this second, you're about to do that 3 to 4 more times. You can sit. Literally, your biggest advantage is timing. For all the great things that I have in my life, I would literally give it up, all of it, just to be 25. I would give up for 17 years, I'd give up everything I have, because that's how valuable time is. And the far majority of this room has time as their asset, and every day, the #1 asset they have, time, they give away by being impatient, mainly on the back of listening to society or their parents that they have to have their figured out at this age. The fact that people actually think at 18, 22, or 30, you have to have your figured out is ridiculous. Let me promise you, all those parents and uncles and grandparents that push down your throat that you have to figure it out by now, they still haven't figured it the out. I mean it. So this nonsense that you have to have it figured out at 18, 22, 30. You know how many people freak the out at 30? How many people are 30 right now? That was crazy, right? People lose their at 30. Meanwhile, they're a kid. And so I'm unbelievably aware lately that one of the, people are always like, why do you win? And I talk about my parents and not coming from anything. But the more that I live, I'm like, the reason I really win is because I understand time. And listen, I know I can get hit by a bus or get terminally ill. I get it. Here's the problem. That's far more unlikely for the majority of us. The math works in your favor, and we are stunningly not patient. Patience has been the foundation of my success. Patience, adversity, these are the foundations of my success.
The reason I love hard work is it's controllable. It's hard for me to be like, be more talented. That seems like when people are like, you push hard, a lot of politically correct, over extreme European points of view get mad at me for, Gary, it's unhealthy. You can't, Gary V, you can't go to the grave with all your money. I'm like, dude, I'm not talking about money. And I don't feel like it's work when I love it. Maybe you don't like your job as much. Asking for a 1% of 1% life. So far I've heard, I didn't want to eat and put out stuff and deal with no feedback for a year or 2. I don't want to spend the 3 or 4 hours to learn it because it seems like there's so much. You have to realize when you're asking to live a 1% life, that you need to do 1% things. Dude, I worked in a liquor store for 15 hours a day, 7 days a week for years, and somehow people put that as like part of my narrative, but don't give it the respect.
The word that drives my life is actually context, not content. I talk so much about content. The reason I am successful at what I do, and my companies are successful, and the companies I advise are successful, and the people that follow are successful, is because they're great at context, not just content. Clearly, if you don't have context on the other person, if you're not deploying empathy for the other person, if you're not worried about them, then you have no shot. It's really no different than giving a speech. The reason I'm a dominant public speaker and one of the best at what I do is because I'm far more worried in the next 32 minutes plus about delivering you value and giving stuff for you, not what I can get out of it for me. You know, some speakers get confused and they want your money. I don't want your money. I want you to win and then send me an email that you won.
The other thing I'm a very big believer in is getting people to not feel like it's a scarlet letter if they lose. Something nobody talks about at all is your scenario. You jump, it fails, you reset and go back and get a job in the craft that you had because of your resume, and you restart in 4 years from now. America's pretty good at looking at losses in a positive way compared to other parts of the world where it's like a true scarlet letter, death forever. But still, even here, you know, people don't know when to go back from their jump because they don't want the loss on the resume. They made the big to-do that you're gonna do it. Now it doesn't work, and what they do is they triple down into debt to look good in front of people.
But what if it did and you never jumped to find out?
Oh, you're preaching. That I want. You've already done that. I'm actually talking about the next part, which is having the options to know that the game is super long, and that if the business, you know, when you go from ice cold, when you go from never having a business to having a business, that's like literally asking me, I'm asking you to right now qualify for Wimbledon in tennis. It's a lot harder than people think. You're grown, you two are grown. I'm not trying to suppress, by the way. I'm talking about the practicality of like options. I love that we live in a world, I'm trying to get people to like really understand how to win this. So much of my success is completely predicated on not worrying about all my losses, which means at times, you know, my great losses are the things I passed on. Maybe I should have done Shark Tank. Maybe not. I don't think I should have done it. Not this late in. I think I'll do my own thing. Like, you know, like, I mean, there's a lot of, I didn't invest in Uber when I could have made $400 million. I mean, that's a loss. Tip of the day, stop listening to anybody but yourself. Outside noises, so many of them. Imagine athletes stopping every time they heard people booing them or talking shit while they were on the court. That's how I think about being an entrepreneur. Like, of course, or just living life. Like, just imagine that, like, you're on the free throw line and somebody they cry or they don't take the shot.
Nobody is gonna cry for you. They have their own tears. One thing I'm positive about is how ROI negative complaining is and how much I'm trying to suffocate the practice of it. I really have been fascinated by people that have changed their mindset into understanding that everything that is not going well right now is their fault. It has been remarkably important to me in understanding that everything that I'm not happy about is on me. It's a remarkably interesting brain twist. The amount of energy spent on things that you can't control versus being accountable to what you can control has been a huge separator for me in the last 4 or 5 years as I've dug deep. No question, the quickest way to happiness is accountability. When people start looking for somebody else to be at fault, whether it's the government or their aunt or their boss, they always lose. Everybody's putting out the best photo from their vacation ever. Everybody's putting out the most exciting night of their lives. People are actually now doing things in real life just for the photo to put on Instagram. And this is very important to understand because we as humans are wired often to envy and be jealous and curious and dwell on not being on that boat. And what that leads to is short-term behavior. Everybody's looking to make a quick dollar so that they can go on that yacht or go to Ibiza or buy that car or that bag or that sneaker. And this is 100% the poison that is in the system. And so for me, I want to know why. Why do you want to be successful? For me, I didn't even really necessarily want to be successful. I just couldn't breathe if I wasn't selling something or building a business. It's all I knew. There was nothing else. It was why I was such a bad student. I couldn't even appease the hour I needed to be a decent student a day because I needed every minute selling baseball cards or wine or whatever I was up to at that point in my life. There was no choice. And so that's what I wish on everybody else. I wish that you wake up every morning and have no choice. That what you do is how you breathe.
Let's say you opened a bar, a barber shop, you want to sell t-shirts. Like, the one big advantage you guys have, look, I have a huge company. My company's gonna do $200 million in revenue. I just flew from Kraft, we have Budweiser, we have the biggest brands in the world, Chase. They still don't get it. I'm sitting in meetings every day and they're not pouring enough money into social media. That's your advantage. They're still pouring it into commercials and print and things of that nature. So you know where the attention is. And so social matters, but humans and relationships are just, honestly, my man, I said it, like I can't explain to you enough how much I want you to meet every person. Look, some of you are introverts. If you're an extrovert and you're social, you need to go all in on the fact that you got blessed with that DNA, that you love people and you love saying hello, and you've got the leverage of doing what you're doing now. Some of you are introverts, right? And that's hard, but like, I'm gonna keep pushing too because the leverage is just absurd. I do think people are capable of dramatically more than they expect. Yeah. But, listen, I could be a dramatically bigger and better singer than I am right now, which is 0. But there's also a very fine line of extending yourself and then bleeding into delusion. There is no scenario where I'm gonna be Frank Sinatra or Beyonce. Yeah. And so I think one of the things that I worry about, especially in my field of entrepreneurship, do I think that most people can replicate their salary at a job that they hate by starting an online business and over a 7-year period make the same amount of money talking about or producing content or selling things around skiing or jam making or shoes than they did as being a miserable clerk at a retail store? Yes, I do. Yeah. Do I think most people are capable of making $1 million a year running a business? No, I do not. And I think that's in a very, where I think these debates become too black and white, and some people are like, oh, it's just about mindset and positivity and you can do it, and everybody's a hater and a troll. Or the reverse, where people are like, all these people are full of shit. They're selling them bullshit and snake oil. The reason that is, and the reason I wrote Crush It, if you ever really, really read it, I believe in passion and optimism and pushing yourself, but I disproportionately believe in practicality, patience, and hard work too.
The number one thing practical that you can get out of this talk, go home and start doing, is realize that if you're not communicating to the world, then you're in trouble. Because attention is the asset. And whether you're producing content or you're running advertising, if you're not doing one of those two things, you're actually really vulnerable. My biggest concern is there's a lot of people here who are actually having a good year. How many people here are having their best year in their business? Raise your hands. That's phenomenal. It excites the shit out of me. It also scares me to no end, because if you're winning without the stuff that I believe in, it means that you're vulnerable. The reason you're seeing videos of me pop up talking about Toys R Us or Sears or other thing in trouble, and now it makes me look really smart, is because 7 or 8 years ago, they weren't doing the things that I knew they had to do to be successful today. That became their vulnerability. If you're selling a ton of homes, or you're getting more clients than ever, or you're, whatever it is, whatever success you're having, if you're doing that without producing a high volume of content every day on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, or a podcast, you're immediately right this second vulnerable. because somebody else is going to, and over time they will take your audience. They will. And so I highly recommend that the tangible thing that you do from this talk is that you realize that you have to go home and figure out how you're gonna communicate to the world. Happiness is so important. I'm so obsessed with it right now, and I hate that success and entrepreneurship and all this stuff have been put on a pedestal. Do you understand that most people think they need to make $1 million a year to be like winning? Meanwhile, in America, one of the richest countries in the world, $440,000 is the entry into the 1%. We have success completely misunderstood. We have success completely misunderstood. Let me tell you what success looks like. When you wake up in the morning and you're happy.
I talk about hustle, here's why. If I looked at all of us right now and everybody behind these cameras or reading this article and said, get smarter, more talented. I want you to get more talented. That's very tricky. That's unbelievably ideological advice. If I said, look, 2 extra hours of work actually has an impact on your success if that's what you're trying to achieve, that's practical.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but it's controllable.
Yeah.
Work ethic is controllable. Being born with talent is not. The way I do branding, I sell so infrequently that I think some of you that are watching me the hardest core need to hear this, which is it's okay to sell, especially if you believe in something. Like if you believe in what you're selling, and that's what I'm spending a lot of time on now, trying to spend more time on really getting to a place where I really believe in stuff. Instead I was just passive, not creating. So I wasn't selling because I didn't believe, and just letting everything come to me. But as I create these, events, Vayner Experience, a lot of events, very big on events. Events are so valuable. Just watching the 4Ds crew, its value and like how it's impacting their business for $10,000 right there. I mean, you see, I know you're getting emails. The wine club, like $150 worth of wine for $55. Like I've just locked in November's. It's gonna make all your Thanksgivings ridiculous. The conference, $500 2-hour session in my stomping grounds. Good deal compared to like other conferences that I speak at, but you're getting the wine for free, or you're getting the talk for free and you're getting the wine. So like, I'm very fascinated because I'm putting more pressure on myself to create things that I really believe in, which then allows me to sell more. And I just think for a lot of you, selling, the ask, the right hook is very difficult. You're passive, you like the idea of like feeling good about like giving out content, this and that. When you believe in something, you can sell it, and you should put more pressure on yourself to create things that you believe in. Biggest problem is so many of you sell shit you don't believe in. You're just doing it for the money, and you're gonna lose. And that I don't like. I know that if I can suffocate all of you today to take 25% of your take-home income this year and pour it back into 2 people who do video and written word, and put it into Facebook and Instagram ads, literally all of you will email me 24 months. Actually, it. If you can start right away, literally 25% of you are going to come to me this time next year, right here, and be like, holy shit, I've been listening to your stuff for 7 years. Your keynote was different in Miami last year at this time. I listened, I said, it, I don't need to go to Ibiza 3 times this year, it. I don't need to buy a better BMW this year to make me feel good with the neighbors. It. I don't need another pair of Supremes or Yeezys. I took the money and I put it into Karen, the film woman, and Rick, the ad guy, and now my business is 2x. This will 100% work. Even if you suck on camera, have 0 charisma, are only 8 days in the industry, this will work because it is such underpriced attention that the ROI will work. That if you're a 2 in skill, the ads are a 20 in the 10-point scale, and it closes the delta of you being average. If you literally, and I've said this for 7 years, if you literally go interview the guy who owns the gym in town, the guy who owns the pizza shop, the woman that owns the insurance brokerage, if you literally just interview your local community, that you become the local newspaper in 3-minute video form on your phone, you don't even need to hire D-Rock or Babin or Iris. You're
phone, if you literally take it, selfie it, and interview the principal of the school in your neighborhood, you will become the local celebrity who can then transact on whatever you're trying to sell that group. If you bring value to people, if you interview the best high school basketball player, literally just that, your business will change. Or if you literally just give the advice of how you got here, what you learned, if you shared your thoughts. If you do not understand that you were a media company, then you will not be as successful as you are today in a decade. And that's not interesting when the alternative is you're 4 to 7 times bigger. The stake, guys, you have to understand what happened to Blockbuster and Netflix, what happened with Uber and taxi companies, what happened with hotels versus Airbnb is happening with you as a human in your business. And so when you have the best hand and you know it because you've been paying attention and you know how to play poker, you go all in. Everybody here is playing Facebook, Instagram, social media, YouTube, podcasting, like they have the best hand and they're calling. And you're not goading them into getting all the money. You're just folding. And that's this audience. So can you imagine what I feel is going on outside this stadium? So this is a call to action for everybody to do me one favor, and I do think I can get a lot of you to do it, which excites the shit out of me. Please, right now, listen, maybe you've laid out money, maybe you're in the middle of a renovation, maybe you're paying for your kids' college, mazel tov. I know there's nuances on everybody's life. But if you are in a position where literally your take-home income this year is literally the stuff you're gonna go and do things with, please, from 25% to 90% if you can go humble, please take that money and hire 2 people to make a lot more content for you about you and your business. And please give the rest of the money to Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. And I fundamentally promise you, you will walk here to this conference next year and personally thank me emotionally because your business will change. And I know not one of you has gone all in.
2 things I want to do. I want everybody to get out their cell phone because we are trying to all build our social media presence here and wherever you are. So if you get out your phone and follow Joe Hyde on Instagram and like the Facebook page for PR and Roofing. My question.
Bro, hold on. Did you really think that was a good idea?
Hey, we're here.
No, bro, I honestly think that that was one of like the worst moves I've ever seen because and I'm not trying to razz you. I am talking, I'm trying to give you love. I love the passion to win. The problem is you tried to close on the first move. You brought them no value and you asked them to bring you value. Like you gave, like I will stand up here and give a load of value and never mention one time for any of them to follow me, and a lot more of them will follow me than are gonna follow that bullshit move that you just did. I get it, but this was back to the question that just happened, and this is why I want you to win. That move is always gonna lose. You can't go, tonight when you go out in Vegas and you see a pretty girl at the bar, you can't go up to her and the opening move is like, here's my key, let's go. But that's what you just did. Let him hold it. But that's what you just did to this audience with business.
Because this is an industry where it's kind of like dog eat dog world. So why are you succeeding and giving all your secrets away at the same time?
I mean, because doing the right thing is the right thing. Karma is practical. You know, I heard somebody rant earlier, right? That's like, hey, when I win, I don't think it's coming out of you. The guy that closed, I couldn't know who was on stage, but I believe in that, right? Because I love the idea of 85 people here going and listening to me, winning. I didn't make anything for it, but it then becomes brand. If she goes out and listens, and then 2 years later, she's having dinner with a friend, and she's talking about what happened to her life, that friend might be the CEO of GE. You know, I'm playing with the biggest brands in the world. I'm not trying to monetize my audience. I'm trying to like just bring the most value in the world and let that lift all my other opportunities. So I think giving away your best secrets is the greatest strategy for 2 reasons. Karma is practical and leads to more business, but here's the secret, and it's even funnier. 99% of these people are not gonna do anything about it. Somewhere about 5 or 6 years ago, I realized this fact. Holy shit, people aren't gonna do anything with this. So f it. Like there's still gonna be plenty for me, and I'm gonna be the most lovable guy ever. I love this. So, you know.
I was born in Belarus in the former Soviet Union. I came to the US when I was 3. We lived a very humble beginning. As you can imagine, the economy wasn't super great. We didn't speak English. We had $100. I lived with 7 family members in a studio apartment in Queens. So it was super humble, and obviously my parents are very much my heroes. 1, because my mom is the greatest parent of all time, and 2, because my dad worked his face off, and even though I slept under the same roof literally every day of my life with my dad in the first 14 years of my life, I literally never saw him because he left at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. and he came home at 10 p.m. and he worked 7 days a week. How many people here are immigrants or children of immigrants? Raise your hands. Awesome. So this group that just raised their hands, they know that immigrants in America have absolutely figured out one of the core secrets, which is, work your face off and don't buy dumb shit. And so that's kind of what my family did for 7 or 8 years. My dad wasn't making that much money, but a funny thing happens when you buy nothing but food at the lowest possible price. And save. And very quickly, only 6 years after coming to America with $100, my dad was able to buy a small liquor store in New Jersey. We moved to New Jersey. That is where my entrepreneurial career began. When I was 6, I had a 5 lemonade stand franchise. I manipulated my friends into standing behind the lemonade all day. And that is when I became obsessed with attention. And this is really interesting. As you can see up here, I day trade attention, culture, and build businesses. At 6 years old, I would spend my summer days literally walking up and down the streets of New Jersey, sitting down on the curb, watching cars drive by so that I could figure out which tree or post was better for me to put a sign that said lemonade a quarter. That is DNA. That's like somebody singing, that's like somebody throwing a pitch, really, like that is just pure DNA. I didn't read a Seth Godin book or go to Harvard Business School to figure out that attention was the #1 asset. The one thing that combines every person here, from the cameramen back there who are producing, to the industry that is in this room, to me, to Mickey, to anybody else that's sneaked in, the one thing that fundamentally connects all of us is before you tell me how great your product and service is, you need my attention so that I listen. I am obsessed with attention. I am obsessed with this device because it has the attention. I am unemotional if it's ruining the kids and they don't know how to engage, or that you are sad that people go out to dinner and don't talk to each other. Technology does not care about your feelings. And so I, as a human, may have some opinions about parenthood and society and privacy as a human. But as a businessman, I am unemotional and not romantic. All I do is follow where the attention is, and I figure out how to storytell in there to create the action that I desire.
How much time do you spend on marketing? You said those 4 things. How much time do you actually spend on it? In a day? 0 sometimes, I assume?
Yeah, sometimes.
In a week, how much do you spend on it?
2 hours.
2 hours, great. Now is the most important part of this meeting. How many hours do you sleep at night?
I have to have 7.
Great. So I love the way you said it. I have to have 7. So if I wanted to say go to 6 so that you pick up 5, you're gonna say to me, Gary, I have to have 7, right? Now let's go somewhere else. I have to know what you're doing the other 17 hours. I would bet the house that we can find an hour every day. I guarantee it. Because you might be working all 17 hours, but you might not be working on something smarter than spending an hour a day on the thing that you're talking about. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's the answer. The answer is time. People talk about working hard and working smart. The answer is only both. You have to work hard and smart based on your ambition. If you want to build a business for yourself, that is like a 1% life. Most people don't understand what building a business for yourself is. It's very special. It's very special. Trying to build a business for yourself, everybody's doing now. Pulling it off, trying to play basketball, everybody can try. Being an NBA player, trying to be a rapper or a singer, everybody's doing. Pulling it off, trying to be a footballer, an actress. Got it? So you're trying, great. Pulling it off is hard. It takes everything. Time and smarts. You need 7. I'm glad you said it that way, because this makes this piece of content more valuable. It's the 17 other hours. I'll give you an example. A lot of people drive to work for 45 minutes. If they took a bus for an hour and 15 minutes, they would save money and get more work done. But do you have the humility to take the bus versus driving your car?
How many hands work somewhere but want to do their own thing? Raise your hands. More than half this audience. Meanwhile, let me tell you why most of the hands that just went up will never get there. They buy dumb shit. Do you know how many people here literally drive cars to impress people that they hate? People literally going in debt or getting further from leaving the job they don't like to do something that will make them happy because they have to buy a certain car that has a logo that impresses people that they despise. Do you understand how up that is? Do you know how many people here live in homes where they don't use more than half the rooms in the house? Like, we are so fundamentally in a vortex that makes no sense that I am unbelievably passionate understanding how much money you make and what you can do to get off of it. But the problem is, again, people are doing so many things to keep up with the Joneses, to make it look like they're successful, to appease their parents, and a million other things that have nothing to do with themselves. And we need to change that game.
In 1996, my dad had a liquor store in New Jersey. That's as traditional as you get.
Yeah.
That was 22 years ago. And I put my dad's store online, and I did email marketing, and I did Google, and I did content, and then a couple months after YouTube came out, I started a YouTube show in 2006, which is now 12 years ago. I have no respect, and normally I deploy a lot of empathy. I struggle deploying empathy. I struggle deploying compassion. If you were a business operator in 2018, heading, by the time we're recording this in October 2019, which is when the majority of people are going to listen to this, and your excuse is, well, I'm a pub, or I make tomato juice, or I have 3 restaurants. Like, digital is oxygen. It's the real world feels secondary. Like, to not be a communicator, content producer, part of the conversation, like, it's gone from cute and naive to grossly negligent. And I just think it's unacceptable to be a business in 2019 in the same way that it would be to pay people not minimum wage. Like, I literally believe it's grossly unacceptable. Like, to me, it's like to quantify digital versus traditional, it's just marketing. Like, really? You think sending direct mail print is a better thing to do than advertising on Instagram as a restaurant? Like really sit down with me. You're telling me right now that it's a better deal to spend all that money making a flyer and sending it direct mail, or running a radio ad, or buying a small little ad in a newspaper. Like, this is what you're telling me. It is 2019. I felt bad in 2002. It was early. The internet was new. I had compassion. It was cute. In 2007, it was like, it was kind of like, hey, annoying, kind of like, but still kind of. In 2012, it's like, you're not smart. In 2019, like, you deserve to die. Everybody thinks I'm so lucky, and I'm like, you're lucky. You went to high school parties. I worked. I went home 75% of my weekends during my college career, taking Amtrak, not even Excella, no first class, Amtrak, eating a bullshit sandwich, which I kind of loved, and I missed that sandwich. Get into New York, not even New York, which would be fun. Woodbridge, New Jersey train station, at like 8 o'clock. My dad would pick me up, we'd drive home, and then I would wake up at 6:30 in the morning and work in the liquor store on Saturday, and then leave back to Boston on Sunday, and now I'm lucky. It's hard to think you're lucky when you eat when nobody else is eating. We put out a shoe with K-Swiss. It was our third one with them called Clouds and Dirt, which is basically my thesis in life, which is macro, micro. Have ambitions, but you have to put in work to do that, right? Like, you know, everything matters, nothing matters. Just I'm a contradiction, and within that contradiction, and a lot of people hit me up. They're like, "You're a stoic." I'm like, "What is that?" I Googled them. Like, "Oh, maybe I am." Like I was like, what I know I am is happy, and I'm happy because I keep things in perspective, and keeping things in perspective, I just tweeted something that said, there's a very fine line between perseverance and delusion. And it's this question people always ask me, like, when should I give up, Gary? I've been doing this, rapping thing. I've been doing this vlog. I've been doing this restaurant. It's not going well 2.5 years in. And I can never answer it because you need to know the nuances and the details.
Sure.
But there is an incredible inflection point in everybody's life. Speaking about your early childhood, like acting, the amount of people that literally were like, one more audition. This isn't working for me, one more audition, and that's the one.
Right.
Or one more song, one more album, one more startup, one more day at their job. There's one more try to ask this boy out.
Right.
There's all these things of like, when is it too much and you just waste your life and you go into depression, or when was it perfect? Contradictions, I'm fascinated by them, but I'm always on the optimistic side of them. Mainly because when it doesn't work out, my big thing is, well, you now know it doesn't work. You now know you aren't a rapper, and good news, you're 31. You have your whole life in front of you.
Do you understand how crazy it is that if you went to the clearance aisles of your 5 biggest retailers in Australia, bought things on clearance, went home, relisted it, and posted on eBay, that the far majority of this audience could make between $50,000 to $100,000 a year just on doing that for 9 to 10 hours a day? Meanwhile, everybody's sitting here with the next big app that's gonna be the next Uber for lawnmowers. The thing that has made me successful far more than my passion or my energy is my disproportionate practicality. Most people want to look the part of an entrepreneur that came up with the next Supreme or Adidas brand or the next Uber or Facebook, yet are $40,000 in debt, working a job that they hate, and literally, if they went to the 5 discount stores that dominate this market, buy things on clearance, go home, take a picture with their phone and upload to eBay, and then when people buy it, go to the post office and ship it, they would be able to get out of debt and get into a financial place. But people don't want to do that because they don't want to be judged for that being their hustle. Most people in this room and this world would rather lose looking like they're doing something successful than win and be judged for doing something that seems dorky.
I think that there's a deep inherent understanding in my mind that there's only one at bat, and I don't want to leave anything on the table. Most people don't want to work. Most people didn't find what they love. Most people don't have enormous ambitions. Most people prefer you to stop because it makes them insecure while you keep winning. There's no greater gift in life than to have the people you love be happy and healthy. The second biggest gift in life is to love what you do so much that you only want to work.
What's your favorite question to like open up a conversation with?
I like to, for me, because it's my natural state, because I'm optimistic and positive, I love to compliment people if it's authentic.
Yeah.
Like if I genuinely think your purple hair is rad, then I'll be like, your hair is amazing.
Right.
I would never do it if I knew who you were and I wanted to get to be your friend. I wouldn't say it. I genuinely believe that intent rules the world.
Yeah.
That if you're doing it for the right reason, you win. I'd rather say something about your jacket or your sneakers or just say hello. But what my favorite thing is if there's something that I want to compliment something on, because it just starts the vibe so nice. I love being self-aware. I suck at a lot of things. I just don't think about them. Like I can't read for I interrupt people when I interview them 24/7. Everybody's super pissed on the internet about that. Not good, because I already know what the person's saying. I can't help it, I'm sorry. There's plenty of things that I'm not good at. I love self-awareness. It's kept me so happy. Like,
I'm not upset at myself that I'm selfish in certain areas. That's human. I think that we just don't love each other, ourselves enough. I think I don't know whose perfection I'm trying to live up to. Like like silly things, like people get on me for biting my nails. Gives a like people are just critiquing themselves all day long.
I'm 26. I want to be, I want to stay a marriage counselor, but every time I mention that, like, oh, you know, what do you want to do with your life? And I tell people this, their instant response is, you know, how are you going to do that? You're not married. My parents are divorced as of since I was 8. I'm not married.
I can answer your question right away. We're gonna build an amazing we're gonna build an amazing case study together. I'm gonna give you 3 names, and then you're gonna cruise into the sunset of success, which is, let's figure out the 3 most successful coaches in the history of sport that everybody knows of that didn't play that sport. Bill Belichick, even though I hate him with all my guts, did not play football. He grew up in the football game, right? His dad and what was a coach and what have you, but Bill Belichick did not play football, and he will probably unfortunately go down as the greatest, or if not one of the greatest head coaches of all time. You don't have to be, listen, I think people have to be thoughtful. I hate 22-year-old life coaches that haven't lived life, but if they speak about, here's my life experiences and why, you can eliminate though very quickly when somebody says to you, but how are you can't do, first of all, a couple other questions. Are your friends and your circle telling you can't do that? Or are customers that you're trying to do that with telling you that they don't want to go with you because you're not married?
No, this is more acquaintances, people, you know, that I run into.
Yeah, so listen, that's a mistake. Like, you can't listen to acquaintances, their opinions don't matter.
Okay.
You can't listen to.
So how?
You can't listen to
How do I build that?
How do you?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm getting excited. You should talk. Go.
So am I. I'm like pumped. Basically, like I wanna, because I follow you and I've been following you for a couple of years now, and I do agree what you have to say about education. I do think people are gonna start moving from, you know, going to school and sending their kids to school to finding ways. I've got your answer.
I've got your answer. And a lot of people get up.
You know what I'm going to ask.
Of course I know. I know exactly where you're going. So if you're not going to get the PhD, there's only a few ways to justify and gives confidence to the end market why they would jump with you. It's crazy to me that so many people, I was watching 60 Minutes last night in the background as I was working, and the way that Oprah was justifying the person was, he has a PhD in this and a master's in that. Even 60 Minutes used those pieces of paper to create authority. In our society, pieces of paper from businesses, and that's what colleges are, has been the authority. The only other people that get authority are the people that have gone out and done it and have people co-signing them, right? Makes sense. So the way and this is why I love working for free. When you don't have a piece of paper, right? One of the reasons I love working for free is working for free for somebody who is that person in society, whether they got a piece of paper or they're Puff Daddy and they just did it, becomes the equity that you trade under once you become great at something, right? Andy, who's sitting here right now, every single famous person I see gives him a lot of street cred right away, not because he got a degree for personal branding and marketing for Virginia Tech. What degree did you get?
Political science.
Not because of his bullshit political science degree from Virginia Tech, but because he went and worked underneath me and I went out and did it, and I always give him love and good vibes. The end. It's not Babin's degree from the USC School of Film or NYU.
I dropped out.
You know, so what you need to do is one of 2 moves if you're not going to go get a PhD and have everybody comfortable with it. You either need to go work for somebody that is the authority and ask all thousands of people that are authorities and work for them, or you need to give your services for free to 5 couples, crush it for them, and use their word of mouth and endorsements and as your leverage point. The end. Technology
And the way we live doesn't care about my opinion or my feelings, and it doesn't care about yours either. And so you can walk around Earth and judge, oh, it's so sad that all these kids can't communicate because they're on the phone anymore. And you could talk about a day and age when it was simpler and nicer and all this. Nobody gives a f. And if you don't adjust to the reality of the situation, you will be completely left behind. Too many people are executing or hoping or trying to figure out how to live in a world that used to be or the way they wish it was versus attacking the reality of the world. And here is the reality of the world, my friends. The cell phones that you're all holding right now or in your pocket are the remote controls of our society. They are the single most important thing in the world. There's nothing close. Whatever you want to happen in life, you first need somebody's attention, and then you need to tell them about it. It was called the newspaper, the television, and the radio. Now it's called a blog, a vlog, or a podcast. It's the same thing. Nothing's changed except one thing. Your attention is moving to a new place and leaving an old place. I'm making this very simple, very black and white, very basic. If you do not spend next year completely obsessing over how you become successful on Facebook and Instagram, you will be disproportionately less likely to win. The ad product on those two platforms are disproportionately underpriced, and that is where you should be trading. You are grossly underestimating what's happening right now. 98% of people are grossly underestimating how good it is right now. You will look back at this talk, all my content during this era. Why am I producing so much content during this era? Why am I flying around the entire world over and over speaking to this subject? It's because I know what I'm talking about right now is gonna go away. And I think we can all agree, I'm not hedging up here right now. I'm desperately trying to force this down your mouth, right? You heard it, and I believe that 95% of you will not do anything about it. You'll do enough to make it feel like you did something, and you will regret not going all in. How many people here play poker? Good. I don't, but if you do, when you have the best hand, it's a good idea to go all in.
One theme that I really people are like, yo, how do I build my self-awareness? How do I build my optimism? How do I change my mindset? It's the people around you. If your best friend is Debbie Downer, you're not gonna be as optimistic as you can be. If the people that from your town that you hang out with have no ambition, you're going absolutely nowhere. If you listen to your dad every day about how the government sucks, you're not gonna love life. You've got to audit your inner circle. Podcast friends, listen to me. Listen very carefully to this mashup and these thoughts, because this underlining tone of who you surround yourself with absolutely fundamentally changes who you are. Period. End of story. When I hung out with Silicon Valley in 2005 to 2010, I was a different dude. When I hang out in the agency land right now, I'm a different dude. When I was in college at Mount Ida, different dude. Like, you're a different person. And I'm telling you right now, this morning podcast, or this podcast, because I know some of you listen to it at late, this podcast, if I can get one of you, one person listening to this, to dump one loser person in their circle and add one, whoever's that smiley, happiest person at work that you don't talk to that much, that's at a cubicle around the way, or that awesome, like that, you know how everybody has, like, you have a friend, but their friend, like, went to college with them, you don't really know them, but like the 3 times you see them a year, they're positive as shit, and like they're doing things. Surround yourself with those people. Seek out your friend's friend who brings positive vibes and make them part of your world, and cut out your homie from college that thinks the world sucks. Watch what that addition and subtraction does to your life. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
What's your name?
Alicia.
Alicia, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Okay, so I want to become an author. And
Okay.
I want New York Times bestseller just like you.
Amazing.
And I have been writing. It's my passion. And I had applied to this writing YC Teen, and I spilled my heart out. It was just me. Just me
Raw.
words. Yes. They declined me.
Yep.
So it's like they
Yeah, I get it.
it's like that's me.
Yeah.
So it's like they're not accepting me.
them.
But it's like, should I?
No, but honestly, guys, first of all, they didn't decline you. One random person that read your declined you. Them.
But it's like, imagine if I changed some stuff up. If I changed me, they would have probably took me.
You're wrong. You're wrong. Listen to my face. I'm telling you right to your face. You're wrong. You're valuing somebody else's opinion too much. You're wrong. I'm just telling. This is not a debate. You're wrong. Do you understand? You're letting one random person. Listen, do you understand how many people would have hired me? None. Who's got Instagram in here? Cool. Go to it right now. Please do me a huge favor. Go to Instagram. Go to Gary VEE. That's my account. Go 10, 11 posts back. You'll see my report card. I was ranked 243rd out of 254 in my class. 243 out of 254 in my class. You know why? Because I knew it was bullshit. For me, it might not be bullshit for you. This is about self-awareness. You have to know who the f you are. But for me, it was bullshit because I didn't need it. Because I didn't give a f what Saturn, how many rings Saturn had. Listen to me. You can't let something be valuable more than you're pandering to them. Let them come to you. Take that same essay and post that shit on Instagram with a photo and see what happens. See what happens. Let the market decide, not some bullshit middle management person that read your shit. Good. Of course it's true. And when you're young and 13 and 15 and 9, you think you gotta change your shit up because you don't know how it's played. That's why I'm here, to tell you exactly how it's played. One person read your story, my dear, and that person.
Okay. For so many people that are complaining that they don't have a big enough audience, how do you have the audacity to wish for more fans when you don't go into your own comments, when you only get 17 of them, and reply to the people that are already part of your community? From 2007 to 2011, when nobody knew who the f I was, and Twitter was the platform of the day, I spent every day replying to every single tweet that made a mention of me, and used to go to sleep at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning until I completely got to everybody, and that's how I built my foundation. People want the glitz and the glamour and the caviar, but they're not willing to eat the shit. Period. If you don't understand how this actually plays out, there is no shortcut. There's no hack, there's no tip, there's just the work. Every single thing I've ever done in my life, people thought was stupid until they didn't.
Beautiful.
Well, because when you do something early or that isn't mainstream yet, it's always gonna be met with cynicism. The internet was a fad when I started. The whole thing. The whole internet. Not flipping, not Instagram. The whole framework was gonna be gone by the year 2000, all these people told me. Y2K is gonna kill the internet. This is just some of the shit that I heard from like people that didn't know. I was a super entrepreneurial kid. You know, it's very rare for somebody growing up in the 80s who's an immigrant to not be blindly bought into education as the way out. Miraculously, I have such a great mother who saw a 4, 5, 6, young, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kid basically spend all his time on business. Lemonade. You know, I was a 4-season executive. You know, in the fall, I'm raking leaves. In the winter, I'm shoveling snow and singing Christmas carols at your door. I don't talk about that a lot. I literally rang people's doors and be like, will you pay us $1 to sing Jingle Bells, me and my crew? It was ludicrous.
And you're Jewish, right?
And I'm Jewish. It was like, talk about, I'm entrepreneur first. You know, in the spring, it was like I remember we did a miniature golf course. We did mini flea markets. It was a garage sale. In the summer, it was hardcore washing cars and lemonade. I was so passionate. And then very quickly, for a lot of people watching, they'll probably remember this, in the late 80s, early 90s, the baseball card phenomenon in America happened. And I was at the forefront. Not only was I collecting, but as a 12-year-old, I'm in hotels in malls, in convention centers, set up as a dealer with other 30, 40, 50-year-old men, and really cut my teeth there. And then my 14th birthday came, and for whatever reason, I guess that's grown up in Russia land. My dad, at this point, in parallel, was also an entrepreneur, a more significant one, saved up all his money as a stock boy and then manager of a liquor store, which is the job he got in America, and bought a liquor store and dragged me into that liquor store in Springfield, New Jersey when I was 14. And so from 8th grade on, I worked. One of the things I saw a lot in my comments, because I read them all, was, well, I have no money. I'm like, I lived my whole life with no money, but I figured it out. I would just buy shit. I would buy garage sales shit. And it just got me going. I love it. It's like a hobby of mine to go garage selling.
I started doing that with clothes. I used to do that with clothes.
Dude, the amount, guys, especially like a stylish kid like you, like if you have flavor, if you're listening right now and you don't have money, but you're cool or you got flavor, you got swag, you got style, if you just spend your life in Goodwill and in thrift stores and buy shit that you think is fresh and then wear it and take a selfie and put it on eBay for 3 times the price, or like I see every day, the amount of people that buy $3 t-shirts and sell them for $35 on eBay and Etsy and Facebook Marketplace is enormous. There's no excuse in America to say you have no money, even if you're in the deepest, poorest places, because if you can literally get $1, you can buy your first t-shirt at Goodwill and get it up for $15 on Facebook. Because you know what's funny? What's funny is everybody's got a smartphone. Like you go into the poorest places in America and everybody's got a smartphone, which means you have the internet. I mean, listen, the homeless, you've got people all over on homeless smartphones. I get emails every day. I'm homeless. I watch you on YouTube. I've never done anything financial. A lot of good things have happened to me that has remotely hit my radar more than the year I made $100,000 a year. I would argue that if you really knew everything about me and you read it all, every action I ever did, you would look me in the face and ask me, why do you sabotage yourself in business and financial environments? And I would tell you that deep down, subconsciously, I love it so much that I just want it to happen forever. And so for me, making it is that's what blows me away about somebody who's like, I just need to make $1 million and I'm gonna go to Jamaica, right? Or like, I don't have that. I don't have that in my head. I just wanna play forever. And that's why I'm trying to get people to understand the process, because it is very clear to me that people that are in love with their craft and process can win. And that's why I'm trying to change the conversation around how much money you need to be happy, because it doesn't work. Like I just know unbelievable amounts of data of how many people have lots of money, how many people don't have lots of money by our standards, and how happy they are. And it doesn't take a lot of money to be, to be alive in society. It's about what you spend money on.
You like reading the comments?
Love.
You do it on every video, every post?
All day.
How do you deal with the negativity? Someone talking about biting your nails.
Empathetic. Empathy. Somebody just watched 49 seconds of me spitting some pontification on Instagram, and they've decided to make a judgment on me. And I respect that. I put myself out there. They don't know everything about me. So when they drag me down, be like, this guy's a idiot, or he's full of shit, or what the f***, I'm like, that makes sense. They saw me in the explore feature. They're like, who's this face? They watch it, they don't like it, and they decide I'm shit, and they're not in a good place, so they have to drag down. I deploy empathy first. Sucks to be, I would never do that as a happy person to anybody else. So A, I'm already feel bad.
Yeah.
And B, who the f*** am I? They only got 49 seconds. And in 49 seconds at a time, I could suck shit in perpetuity. Like at 49 seconds at a time, I could be all-time terrible. Especially me that gets hot and competitive and like this is how I am when the lights come on. So I deal with the negativity with empathy to the person that's leaving the comment. A, for the fact that I feel bad because they're in a bad place, that they decided to put more hate into the system. And B, like they shouldn't do 7 hours of research of my career or who I am as a human being. I would be upset if you thought I was a dick. because you've had enough interactions at this point to have a read. Somebody asked me today in an interview, what do I do with my downtime? I told them that I start other businesses. It's all I know. It's who I am. It's the same way when I see a teacher or an artist or anybody, when I can see through their soul that they were meant to cook or paint or build or whatever it may be, I get such happiness. It's the same reason that people that I went to school with who make $53,000 a year, but I know they're so happy because it's what they want. They want to be home at 5 p.m. They want to be on multiple sports teams. They want every weekend off. They don't want the pressure. The greatest thing about being a CEO, founder, entrepreneur is that when there is success, you get a disproportionate amount of the credit. The problem with entrepreneurship is when it fails, you have nobody to blame. One of the things that I'm most worried about is when you are a purebred entrepreneur, you don't care about losing. The process is your religion. Running the company is your oxygen. When you are not, and you're doing it for everybody else or because it's cool, when you fail, you will have no place to hide, and your loss will be very public and unavoidable. The reason I put so much pressure on people being self-aware is if you're a natural number 2, 6, 13, or 27, the negatives of being a number 1 are overwhelming and very difficult to quantify. You have to ask yourself today that when your business fails, are you okay with the judgment of your family, friends, your social media followers, and the entire world? And if you are, then you can move on your merry way. But if you are not, one of the great ramifications of this golden era of entrepreneurship is going to be the enormous amount of depression and mental illness when 99% of the businesses fail. Maybe you actually love playing video games more than starting an app company. When I was growing up, playing video games was a waste of time. Today, I think we can all agree, a professional esports superstar for the next 50 years, probably behind proper football and basketball, is going to be the biggest athlete in our world. This is nothing you could see 7 or 10 years ago. You owe it to yourself to make sure that you're building a company around what you love, not because cryptocurrency is the current fad. When you chase money, you lose, always and forever, even when you achieve the money. This is how humans are wired.
Today I lost 50% of all the money that I have. People are ditching me because they don't want to go to the conference anymore, so I've been just full on pissed.
Right, getting shit on today.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
All today. It just
I like it.
It hit me. You know?
I like it.
And so
I like it, I'll tell you why, because I can tell by your demeanor that you're going to be okay. The fact that you realize that that negative moment has positive impact, the question is why did it happen? And that's why you have to be honest with yourself. I don't know, but that's, I'm pumped that you can have you're more positive than half the people here, and it sounds like you're having a terrible day.
And today I'm feeling like, super rage. That's why I wanted to ask you, how do you keep the positivity, the calmness, when everything is hitting the fan?
Because basically when things happen, I go the other way. So tonight, I just was reminding myself every time you came and the next person came, I was just reminding myself, literally in my own head, saying, you don't mean shit. I said it to one of you. They said, how do you stay humble when you're so successful? I'm like, because I know if I die tomorrow, I'll have a good day on social media. Like most comments ever on my latest post on Instagram, everybody's gonna be like, oh, that was the last one, weird. And I know that all of you will be on with your life a week later. You have to balance your ego with humility. In the same way, when I'm having my worst day, I realize I'm the best. I'm gonna be the best that ever does this. And so the way I handle things is when something's going one way, I use all my emotional strength to push the other way. What, are you gonna cry for the rest of your life because the conference got f***ed up? To me, it's just like, look what the f***'s going on. Guys, if you're in this room right now, let me just remind you that there are 7.7 billion people. Literally right now, as we stand here, there are women being shipped to be strippers in parts of our world. Right now, as we stand here, there are women who are basically caged, mentally usually, and are being shipped to dance on a pole in Manhattan and in London. Like, do you understand there's genocide going on right now. Like, what do you think's going on? Like, we lack perspective. Your conference got f***ed up, boo-hoo. I lost a client, boo-hoo. There's people dying out there. Like, so when Americans or Europeans talk to me about race or gender, I'm sad. It's their real life, but I remind them because it's a positive thing. Cool, but let me tell you about the person that's ranked 7 billion in the world. They have it bad. And so I struggle. Like, listen, I'm weird. I think about things like animals. Like, I don't know. Like, if you're the best elephant, we are still better than you. We got listen, I got hot on this about a year ago, the 400 trillion to 1. It's impossible to be a human being. You won. I don't know how to get upset after that. I keep shit in perspective, right? Like, you're gonna learn from this. You f***ed up. I promise you it's failing because of you. And when you start owning your shit and not blaming other people, and I think this is the kick I've been on lately on Instagram, right? Like, blame yourself. You know why I'm always happy? I blame myself. When you blame yourself for real, you're gonna always be happy because you don't feel like somebody else controls you.
How do you balance clouds in the dirt, and which do you focus on more and why?
So define to everybody how I define clouds and dirt. Clouds to me is like the why, the strategy, the macro, the big thinking, the big picture, the operating system of like how you do things. And then the dirt is having the humility to go to these meetings, to actually, I post all my Instagram photos, the doing, the humility, ego, humility, strategy, execution, clouds and dirt. The way I balance it is they're both important at all times. I can swing back and forth to them. I can literally go from a meeting where, like the call I had on the way out to our first meeting here today with Purell was with VaynerMedia's C-suite about a restructuring of how we handle all our business. Super meta. And I literally hung up and I posted something on Instagram and wrote all the copy as we were walking into our last meeting. To me, I balance them by doing whichever one is needed at the time. And so I don't think about it as balancing it. I think about it as time allocation, like what should I be doing with my time? And I think that, you made a joke of like we did a shoot for a client and we debated on the phone for 10 minutes where the should be located for that. I think that's being in the middle, right? I think pandering to the way companies do things. We just had a meeting where they're like, oh, that was provocative. Us as the Gallery Media Group holds and all the other things we do, us doing what every other publishing company does is not a good idea. That's the middle. That's not gonna get you to the next place. And so for me, I'm just in the mindset of, either doing humble, dirty work. Like the reason I am the best strategist in social media out there, I really believe this, is because I do both. I both sit at the top of a media company that really does it at scale for the biggest companies in the world, but at the same token, there's very few humans that put out 140 pieces of content by hand a week and reads I literally just replied to Kyle in my comments, and I'm gonna show you because I don't think you guys believe me when I do these rants. I literally just replied to Kyle 1 second before Babin's like, let's do this video. Like literally what I was doing 1 second before then was replying to literally hearted Kyle's comment of, I'm digging the recent pics and quotes, man, right? Like many people watching here would argue that my time at this point in my career of reading Kyle's comment and hearting it in that minute was a bad use of my time. I think the dirt is the reason why I come up with such good clouds. Being in the trenches drives my strategy. I live in reality and practicality, not in thesis or ideology or reading headlines or reading about people doing marketing. So I don't balance it. I just do whatever is needed at that second. It's back to macro, micro speed. I'm just always doing something. Right, Bobby? Like, that is the big breakthrough everybody on the team says. Like, there's just every second is, and so the reason I can do something every second is, and I don't watch a YouTube video or stand by the water cooler and talk about the Rockets game for 10 minutes, is because I always value the dirt. And so in that half a second that I had right now in the transition of the call that I just had about a macro VaynerX strategy, right? The second transition I had before I started doing a macro thing like the vlog was Harding Kyle's 2 cents on my last Instagram post, clouds and dirt. If you're trying to reach the decision maker at a retail organization, that guy or gal is also the same person that I want to reach to sell a bottle of wine or a book to. And that space in his and her Facebook feed is only one space. So that is supply and demand. I used to buy that space 4 years ago for $1 for every 1,000 impressions. Now it's 7. The longer you think this world doesn't exist and you fearmonger it, the longer you don't put money in, the longer I can extract all the value. I've lived this game. I'm not a hero because I took it from 3 to 50 million, 60 million, my dad's business. I actually am a schmuck. I should have spent more on Google. I had it figured out. Every time you typed in Cabernet, Merlot, Silver Oak, Caymus, Napa, Bordeaux, I was showing up first because nobody realized it was good real estate. And it was only costing me 5 or 10 cents a click. And I was making between $7 and $80 in profit for something that was costing me $3 to get you through the funnel on the average of 60 people coming and 1 converting. I was stupid. I'm being serious with you. I stand here and have passion about LinkedIn and Facebook marketing in a B2B environment today out of regret for what I did from 2002 to 2005 because I should have spent more. It was basic math, but I just didn't understand because I was young in my career and it just, I don't even know how to explain it to you. When it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true, right? I'm an immigrant. I was cynical. I just didn't, plus I also thought it was important to do direct mail and local commercials and magazine. I was doing it all. But in hindsight, it was the great mistake of my career. The great mistake of my career was not spending more money on Google. And I promise you, the great mistake of your accelerated growth for the 80% that just raised their hand is not taking advertising on LinkedIn and Facebook seriously because you don't think your person is on it. I've heard guys, I've been doing this for 10 years. I know what your excuse is gonna be. I can't wait to the Q&A. I'm gonna stand here and but Gary, my target person is a 63-year-old man. He's not on it. Bullshit. Of course he's on it. Who do you think is spreading all the Democratic and Republican propaganda on Facebook? My great legacy in my aspiration to be someone that gets written about like Robin Hood is giving it for free. Yeah, like the thing that if somebody asks me, what are you most proud of? I'm literally giving away all my best for free. I don't know what else to say. A lot of people that kind of look like me build audience to the masses, but then try to sell to that audience. Correct. Right? Here's the $4,000 ebook. Right. Here's the come to my mastermind. Yeah. What I do is, back to your analogy, this is why I thought of it too, I do business with Chase and Budweiser and AAA list celebrities, but for the masses, it's free. I'm obsessed with over delivering. It's why I say yes to shit like this in the first place. The fact that I get one of the emails I get a day, and I get a lot of them, that says I was suicidal, like real shit that's heavy. That trumps anything I will ever do professionally. One person telling you that they were going to take their life and that your videos and podcasts made them not is disproportionately greater than if I bought all 32 NFL teams, and I mean that. Everybody gets hyped when I hype them like this, then they do it for 4 days, a week, a month, nothing happens, they're like, F that. Did you look carefully at the 2009 and 2010 tweets, how much engagement they had?
Versus now?
Yeah, did you or not?
No.
You know that some of those tweets only had 2 likes and a share?
I did know, yes. Yeah.
People forget what my 2009 and 10 looked like. Everybody starts with only 1 like. Here's the tactical part. You put a ton of content, eventually something kind of goes viral and you spend a load of money against it because people prove that they gave a Please understand my biggest truth here today, which is if you are not sharing your thoughts, your process, your journey,
your progress to achieving your goals, the stories you want to tell about your startup, product, service. If you are not communicating to the world, and if you're not thinking about what's valuable to them, not what's valuable to you when you communicate, and that is a very big point, I'll say it one more time. If you are not communicating to the world, and when you're communicating, if you're not thinking about what's valuable to them versus what you're putting out for yourself, you are basically irrelevant in a 2019 world. As much as it may be difficult for many in this room, if you are not living through here, you are not known. This is the game. If you are underestimating this, and when I say underestimating this, if you have not made a significant commitment to producing content for the one of 7 apps or websites that 80% of this entire region spends a disproportionate amount of time penetrating and listening and consuming, you are becoming vastly, vastly irrelevant.
People are like, Gary, I DM'd all the influencers like you told me, nobody responded. I'm like, how many? They're like, 130. I'm like, good, there's about 9 million more.
Right. And you just say, will you help me?
No, because that's not the way to position it, right? Because most people won't answer that, because somebody who's got an audience, that's all they see.
Right.
I would say, how can I help you?
Right. That was my question.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Like, yo, I with you. Like, how can I help you?
But then, like, if you don't have any leverage, like,
yes, you do. You have your time. You never know. D-Rock didn't have any leverage. D-Rock asked me 4 times, and then finally I said, yeah, fine, make me a video. I'm not even in that mindset, and then this all happened because of it. That's real.
Wow.
That's real. That's the story. Damn. That's the story. He asked me 4 times, I want to make a video for you. He was a video guy. I wasn't making content like that then. But it was in my mind. And by the 4th time, I was like, you know what? Okay, make me a free video, show me. Here we are. Now he's the word that people use, like people literally say, literally a verb. Literally, people are like, my D-Rock's name is Rick. I'm like, you know D-Rock's a name. You know what I mean? It's real. And you know what? I said this at the time to D-Rock. I said, you're gonna impact people. Like, do you know how awesome it is for people that love to do it? You know how many people wanted to make documentaries their whole lives, yet only 74 people a year get to do them, and now 74,000 people a year get to do it? Yep. All it takes is one person. I just don't care about the money.
Yep.
Like, I'm fine making $47,000 a year and reading all the comments on Instagram and LinkedIn that I was a loser and lost it all. Interested.
So what do you want to be remembered for at the end?
That I gave a hell of a lot more than I took.
Okay.
I want to be the greatest entrepreneur of all time, because entrepreneurship is what I do, and I think the way to do that is to A, build big businesses and exits and companies and put the points on the board.
Right.
But who I am.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like I want to inspire the most entrepreneurs to be happy, not just successful.
Okay.
Like, there's so many people who are going to be unhappy making $1 million a year that would have been thrilled making 630. I'm secretly worried that I'm gonna get to a place where I'm not gonna care anything about business, and it's the love of my life.
Right.
But I can like feel it already. I'm like, oof, you know, 55 to 75 is gonna be some run. When you actually believe in the value you're providing, selling, promoting, giving for free, when you believe, it all clicks. The reason people don't do is because they don't believe. They either are insecure and structured that way, or they deep down know they're doing it for the money. How many people like did things for me with expectation? A ton. And most of the times I'll say no, because I don't even want to do that. But once in a while I say yes, mainly to stick it to them and teach them a life lesson. Which is, don't come at me and be like, I want to do this awesome thing for you, and then kind of hover around and always have this weird relationship with me where they expect something, like we did something here. Like, if you told me up front that the reason you bought 10,000 books and did this thing was because what you really wanted was my face on your website co-signing your bullshit business, well then you should have told me. Because then we could have had a transaction.
A lot of your advice is geared to like college grads.
Yep.
But I'm old. I'm 40. What would your advice be for someone who's 40 but starting out where most of your audience is starting out when they're 20 or 30?
Well, it's interesting. No joke. I don't know if you saw this. I literally posted a video today to 47-year-olds.
I did not see that yet.
So, to me, everybody's going through different things. You know, to your point, in the last 12 to 18 months, I found myself producing a lot more content to youth than I have in the past, which was usually to more 40-year-old business people. Look, I think the biggest thing with 40 to 50 is that it's now you've lived life and you're still young as and you're like, now what, right? You have like an entire second life to live. And it's a very interesting time in people's lives where they have to be really retrospective of like, how self-aware are they? But honestly, I think 40's young, man. I really, really do. And so I would say a lot of the advice I give to 20-year-olds maps pretty well to 40-year-olds, which is, you know, take some risks. You've tasted some stuff. You know, happiness is the ROI. And so, you know, figure out what makes you happy. Is it the pursuit of money or is it actual money? Do materials make you happy? If materials make you happy, is that really just insecurity and you need to have, you know, a BMW to make yourself feel good? Like, what's making you tick? But I would say the biggest thing that I would tell any 40-year-old is you've got 50 years to live. Please get the I'm finished or I f***ed up. Like, eliminate dwelling because you're just starting. I really believe that, by the way. This is not some motivational rah-rah. I just think it's true. I just think you've got 40 adult years to live. That's 20 more than you've lived. There's just so much opportunity. The reason we're sitting here today is I decided from 2007 to 2011 to spend 4 to 8 hours a day replying to people on Twitter that weren't even talking to me. You could type in the name of that town and then go in Instagram and then go to places, click it, and see every photo that's been posted in your town, in that town. Okay. You can then go look at the photo. Could be her at a Goodwill saying, huge score. You could reply and say, good 7 to 150 on a stapler. Go, girl. Right. Now all of a sudden, she's just a normal human. She only gets 6 comments to begin with. She's like, who's this man? She clicks. She goes, your bio is I sell homes. She's like, cool, nice guy. I hope he's not weird. And she's out. Right. But the 97th person that does that goes, he seems nice, goes in the funnel, you put out a good piece of content, like, I'm gonna DM him, I'm thinking about selling my home. What people don't understand is how much work I put to even begin the process of being who I am today. Okay. 2007, 2011 is a long time ago for a lot of people. That year, I decided to go on Twitter search, and anybody that talked about wine, I jumped in and talked to them. How did I get here? Hand-to-hand combat. To build a meaningful company takes a very long time, is very difficult, and more importantly, what has happened in the startup community, all those wonderful startups back there, everybody now is pandering to venture capital or to raising capital, not to actually building a business. Every day, thank you. It's important. And thank you so much for jumping on that. It's important because let me tell you why in 2006, 7, 8, 9, I was taking all of my money and investing in Tumblr and Facebook and Twitter and Uber and all these things that I did very well with, and why over the last 4 years I've invested very little, very carefully, because there's a disconnect right now and there's illusions of the reality. If you stand here or sit here today and there is nothing that you could think about other than building a business, because the process of building a business is your happiness, not what a successful business allows you to buy, well then you're a purebred entrepreneur. There is nothing more difficult than navigating your life based on somebody else's opinion. You actually care about what your dad or mom or grandma or husband or wife or daughter or son is gonna say about you if you do this thing. It doesn't matter what they think. When you're 92 and you're sitting there, you're not gonna give a shit about what Punk Man 96 had to say, or even what your aunt had to say, who's miserable because she never got hers, so she's trying to keep you down. Negative people latch on to positive people and try to seclude them from the world because that's their energy. In work, I see it every day. In life, I see it every day. It's just what it is. I hate how many people judge other people without having all the context. Every time you judge, you make yourself vulnerable. 99.9% of people that you judge or have opinions on, you have no idea what the is actually happening in their lives. Like, you don't know what's going on in somebody's home. Everybody sucks at something, right? Like, we all have shortcomings. And for me, it's like, why don't we just audit that? Like, why don't we just look at it that way and be like, all right, well, I'm good at this, but I'm not good at that. Like, everybody's so absolute. Are you really, really, really not gonna live your life based on somebody's anonymous icon feedback that you suck? They suck. Go do your thing. Don't listen to anybody but what's in your mind and your heart, and not living a life where you allow other people's judgment to dictate your behavior. If you can have perspective, proper macro perspective, and you can have micro, practitionership, you will be happy and win.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
Having the humility and the audacity, back to your contradiction.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, that's how I got to clouds and dirt,
Yeah, which is
because I've always been fascinated by that about me, which is the things I'm willing to do right now that are below my pay grade.
Right.
This podcast, this is super scrutinized by the people around me.
Right.
They're like, why are you doing this? We don't have 15 minutes for very important shit.
Right.
You're letting money, opportunity, VIPs. Why are you doing this? I don't know. Like, intuitively when we were talking, I thought it was a good idea, and I think, in my massive perspective, giving back. Look, you're going to leverage me being on this show.
Absolutely, for sure.
And that makes me feel good. That's me giving back.
Right.
This is a bigger thing, giving you these 15 minutes, than me giving you $15,000 for your app.
For sure.
For me,
Yeah.
it's easier to write the
And
check.
for me.
So for me, humility and like perspective, like I don't know how many very busy people are running around knowing that they need to put change into the bucket of giving back in their time, not their money. You could be everything, be the greatest actor, actress, singer, be an accountant, be everything you can be. Like, you got one life. Don't let people put you in a box. Everybody's trying to put people in a box. If you're talented enough, do everything. If you're Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders, play both. For example, I'm a good operator and I'm a good personality. So I do both. Some people are good personalities but can't run a business. Some can run a business and can't. Some people can cook and sing. Some people can't. Like, do you. Like, if you can do comedy and music, then go. If you're good enough, you'll always get it. The Rock was a wrestler. Now he's a movie star. Will Smith was a rapper. Then he was a movie star. Marky Mark was a rapper. Then he was a movie star. Like, if you're Ashton Kutcher was an actor. Now he's a baller businessman. If you're good enough, nobody's gonna stop you. Evan, thank you so much for having a couple seconds and being able to tell the Believe Nation a little bit about Empathy Wines. It means a lot to me that you would take this valuable real estate and time on your channel to give me some love. It means a lot. It's just good karma points, and so you're awesome. Thank you. Believe Nation, if you're into wine at all, go to empathywines.com. My whole career's work was poured into producing a wine that rivaled $40 to $60 wine for $20 a bottle. I'm just super excited about this subscription-based wine business. You can order 3, 6, or 12 bottles in subscription form, rosé, white, red. If you search on Instagram or Twitter, you will be blown away. People are literally like, I don't even like Gary Vee, but the wine's good. Super proud of the effort. Thanks, Evan, for the time. Wishing you guys all happy and healthy.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag Believe down in the comments below, on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. To see my recent one-on-one interview with Gary on how to turn kindness into your superpower, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I'm talking about something that the world thinks is a contradiction. I don't understand why anybody should ever verbally dress down an employee